When you talk about dangerous cities in the United States, there is one that comes to mind for millions of people, and that is Chicago, or better known as Chiraq. A city with a history of death going back several decades and has led to the deaths of thousands of people. Chicago has always been an influential city since its founding, with slang from Chicago being found all over the US and even the world at times, with words like thought and clout being used by millions of people daily. This has also been seen in songs from rappers who have been inspired from the tales and the gritty reality of the streets of Chicago, with some of the biggest names being Chief Keef and Lil Durk, who are some of the most recognizable names who have grown up in the city. There are also other rappers like Kanye West, but because of recent events, we will not talk about him. When you look into the city in more detail, there are public figures who can be classified as serial killers who terrorize the streets of Iraq for years until their own passing. The definition of a serial killer is read as followed. A serial killer is typically a person who murders 3 or more persons, with the murders taking place over more than a month and including a significant period of time between them, while most authorities set a threshold of 3 murders that often extends to 4 or 2 in some cases. Psychological gratification is usually the motive for serial killings, and many serial murders involve sexual contact with the victim. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, or the FBI, states that the motives of serial killings can include anger, thrill-seeking, financial gain, and attention-seeking. The killings may be executed as such. The victims may have something in common, for example, demographic profile, parents, gender, or race. Often the FBI will focus on a particular pattern serial killers follow. Based off this pattern, it will give key clues into finding the killer along with their motives. And the people in this video will follow along with these patterns in both their behavior and actions taken in today's video. We're going to be talking about some of these people who terrorize the streets of Chicago. The information in today's video is all speculative and needs to be taken with a grain of salt. Everybody in this video is innocent until proven guilty by a court of law. These are all allegations against their name as of this moment. I want to say thank you all for the support, and I also want to apologize for not uploading as frequently these past week. A lot of stuff's been going on in my life personally, and it's more like with family, nothing bad. Just seeing people, having to talk, all that doesn't really give me the motivation to make the videos as much, because I don't really get enough free time. But as of this moment, I can make videos again. I want to say thank you all for the recent support. Like, it's just wild. Thanks for the support the entire last 7 months. I'm 1 sub off of 1,490, so if you want to be that 1 sub, please do so. And if you don't want to be, that's cool with me. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Von Daquan Bennett, or better known as his rapper name King Von, was one of the most popular rappers to come out of Chicago, and only at the age of 26 years old, he was one of the biggest names to come out of the city. He had the entire rap game in a chokehold. After the release of his project Welcome to O Block, he was considered to be one of rap's rising superstars for his versatility and storytelling abilities, with his Crazy Story series netting him hundreds of millions of views and plays all across major platforms. And as of today, he is still one of the most popular rappers even after his death on November 6th of 2020. But one of the biggest things about Von was his presence in the streets was profound and deadly. The notion that Von was rap's first serial killer was brought to light by the YouTuber Traveler Ross, which he broke down Von's bodies in hits and went into the video that was almost 4 hours long and did an entire deep dive. It's worth to watch and listen, because the deep dive on Von, you get some really... King Von is speculated to have killed up to 7 people and was rumored to be a part of even more killings in his life. He was speculated to have killed the female shooter Jakira Barnes, or better known as K.I., who in her own right was a killer herself. Von was named the killer in that situation by the Chicago Police Department years later, but many people speculate that they only used his name to close the case on her and slander his name in Chicago. Von would also be charged for the murder of Malcolm Stuckey at a party where Malcolm and his friends were rumored to have been mean-mugging Von. So Von left the party and came back with another member of O Block named Big Mike, who was the brother of FBG Wooski, who Von has a storied history with. Von and Mike would walk up to the group of men and open fire. Reportedly, Von yelled out, "Why you running?" to them, and this led to the death of Malcolm Stuckey, who was shot in the head, and Von would be charged for this because he was already in jail for a different crime. The police would go ahead and charge him and his co-defendant Big Mike with murder. Big Mike would end up snitching on Von, but when time came in court, he refused to testify, and this allowed Von to go free in this situation. Von would be tied to the murder of Modell Camry, where it was alleged that Von caught Modell and his cousin on their way to a girl's house, where Von would walk up and open gunfire on the 2 people, killing one and injuring another person. Less than a month later, he would catch Derek Johnson, or better known as P5, leaving his home and would gun him down without hesitation. He would next be tied to the killing of Tyreek Levitt in Atlanta, Georgia, after a fight broke out, and Von would leave 1 person dead and another in critical condition. He would also be blamed for the killing of Darrell Fisher, a 16-year-old who just left a rec center and was killed in a drive-by shooting. He was also killed on 63rd Street, and was also rumored that he assisted on the killing of Marlon Monroe. Von Davis, or better known as KTS Von, was a rapper and killer from Chicago and was known for his brutality in the streets and being one of the most dangerous ops to NLMB, who is known for rappers like Lil Bibby and G Herbo. KTS Von was also rumored to have 6 bodies under his belt, those being Pharaoh from Sircon City, Big Los from NLMB, Gotti from 8x13, Almo from NLMB, Rock from NLMB, and lastly Kobe from NLMB. He also allegedly tried to kill G Herbo, but he failed in that mission. KTS Von is considered to be one of the biggest psychopaths to ever come out of Chicago, and Von's story is a little bit more intriguing because he recorded a lot of the actions that he took in the streets, with one of his most famous videos being the No Lacking series, where in No Lacking 3 would be the most impactful video. It is also known as a McDonald's video, where Von and other members of KTS would run up on NLMB members in a McDonald's. They would press and pressure NLMB Cairo and tried to make him say fuck Rock, a fallen member of NLMB, where Cairo would stay solid and not say anything, and this result would have him getting hit in the face. This would lead to shots fired later on in the video, where Von can be seen laughing and joking about running away from the situation. And this video would be shown to a lot of people to show the real reality of Chicago street life. Later on in Von's life, he would begin to be known for his music ability, dropping songs such as Kill to Survive and Street Life, and would be known as one of the biggest what ifs in Chicago history to a whole bunch of people. He would pass away on June 23rd, 2015 at only 21 years old. When it comes to infamous shooters in Chicago lore, there are very few that are as feared as Yarmel Williams, or better known as 051 Melly, a shooter from Young Money who is rumored to have 8 bodies under his belt. Melly was accused of killing Shaquille Rush, or better known as Shaq 600, where Melly walked up on Rush while he was peeing and killed him then and there. After the hit, Shaq would be one of Melly's favorite people to talk about, both on Twitter and in real life, going at members of 600, where if they mentioned 051 members, he would bring up Shaq. The next murder that Melly was accused of was on OTF Nuno, Lil Durk's blood cousin and rapper, where Nuno would be shot and tried to flee but end up crashing the car into a storefront. The murder would go viral for the reaction of Lil Durk when he saw Nuno, who was there waiting for him outside when this happened. 2 days prior, he signed a deal. Nuno would be remembered in FVG Duck's song Chicago Legends, but was a frequent diss target in the entire war. The next alleged killing would be on OTF Chino, Lil Durk's manager, who was connected with THF or Trigger Happy Family. He would be killed outside of a restaurant where Melly would mention the song that Lil Durk had with Lil Mouse, where the song really made Melly mad, and reportedly this is what made him go after Chino. Later on, Melly would be shot in the leg and would allegedly go out and kill the shooter, Raheem Denard, who was also connected with THF and was known as THF Raheem. He allegedly did this hit with 051 Arrow, where Melly would not diss him as much as other people he reportedly killed, because Arrow got locked up for this murder and ended up getting 7.5 years, which is just insane. Later on, 3 days later, he would kill Trevon Dickerson from THF, where Melly would run up on him and shoot him in the head. This killing led to a lot of revenge killings from THF, and this took out a lot of Melly's close and personal friends. The last person that Melly would allegedly kill would be Tyrone Marshall, better known as TY from GGE. He would be killed leaning against a car talking to somebody that he knew, and then a vehicle would pull up on him and shoot him. This would be the last person that Melly would kill before his death. Melly would be killed at a house party where he was warned that his ops would be at the party, but at this point Melly felt invincible and would go anyways. Melly would die at the age of 27 and still has the reputation of being one of the most lethal shooters that Chicago has ever seen, and also known as somebody who has given Lil Durk a lot of demons over the years.